In the world of championship drag racing, it's the big one. The U.S. Nationals at Indianapolis Raceway Park, building traditions for 30 years. A total purse topping $1 million is up for grabs, and sometimes racers will try anything to win this race. In Top Fuel qualifying, Phil Hobbs was trying an aerodynamic experiment that did away with a conventional wing. Hobbs was in trouble from the very start. As we look again, Hobbs' car immediately lost traction at the starting line. The car took a sudden and violent right turn, rolling on its side and striking the guardrail. The impact sent the car, motor still wide open, over the guardrail and into the grassy area outside the racing surface. The car overturning, whipping around, bouncing down the guardrail, finally came to a halt. From another angle, we can see Hobbs trying to regain control over the rampaging dragster. He first tries to keep the car from veering into the guardrail, then rides the top of the rail for several feet, and with the engine still propelling the car, struggles to keep it out of the backside of that retainer. The car, tumbling through the grass, keeps slamming into the backside of the Armco, each time causing more damage to the front of the vehicle. Hobbs, sitting in front of the engine, is in an extremely vulnerable position every time the dragster runs into the barrier. Hobbs is rushed to the hospital for observation and released shortly after the accident, and in spite of it all, suffered only a broken ankle. Moving into competition in the first round of Top Fuel racing, one of the legends of championship drag racing, Don Garlits of Ocala, Florida, was paired against a relative newcomer to the sport, Shannon Stuart of Riverside, California. Garlits had little difficulty in defeating Stuart, but that was the least of his problems. As we can see, Garlits suffered some engine damage as indicated by the smoke. No parachute, but more seriously, he lost the left front tire during the run. At over 252 miles an hour, the tire literally spun off the racing wheel.
Well, down the front wheel flies off, the chute doesn't come out, you really had your hands pulled.
Well, the tube wrapped around the wheel and locked the wheel up naturally, and so I couldn't get my hands off the steering wheel. I had all I could do to hold a car on the racetrack.
You know, some of the drivers, including Gary Beck, are trying to glue these tires on to keep them on.
Wheels were glued on.
Also in the first round of Top Fuel racing, the reigning world champion Gary Beck in the near lane raced his boss and car owner, Larry Meyer. Meyer, putting together a team of two dragsters and a funny car, considers Beck his #1 driver and has worked all season to advance him to a repeat of the World Championship. But this was not Gary Beck's day. Mechanical difficulties slowed his car after taking a big lead over Meyer. The surprise team owner then coasted through, the race not ending as he had planned. In funny car racing, it was record-setting time for the team of Candies and Hughes. Their driver, Mark Oswald, raced Rick Johnson in the first round. Oswald had established a new elapsed time record of 5.69 seconds in qualifying. In this race, Oswald in the near lane made the necessary 1% back up to the record time, thus putting him in the record book, but most importantly, giving him valuable bonus points in his quest for the closely contested World Championship title. Also in the first round of funny car racing, Tim Grose of Saugus, California, competed against the reigning world champion Frank Hawley of Canada. This was a reenactment of their meeting in the finals of the 1982 Gator Nationals. In that race, Grose in the near lane had the misfortune of having his parachute come out early, giving an easy win to Hawley. This time, Grose, again in the near lane, hoped it would be different. Both cars staged. They then left the starting line together, but once again, fate stepped in. The parachute shook loose and deployed, slowing Grose and allowing Hawley to streak by just before the finish line.
That happened to you before, I think, 2 years ago at Gainesville against Hawley.
In the final round against Frank, right? My good friend, so I wish him all the luck in the world. I hope he wins this thing. And, you know, more often than not lately, every time I lose to somebody, it's when I lose first round, that is the guy that wins the race.
Well, you got a lot of spirit, my friend.
Well, we all try awful hard. That's all we can do, right? Thank you.
For the past 30 years, fans have been jamming into 5 different racing facilities around the United States for the annual running of the largest drag race of them all, the U.S. Nationals. For the past 23 years, it has been right here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Hello, everybody. I'm Dave McClelland, and this year, the racetrack is jammed. The excitement is mounting, and we'll be joining the racing action in the second round of Top Fuel, Funny Car, and Pro Stock. To find out what's going on behind the scenes, let's join Steve Evans.
Well, Dave, with Gary Beck going out in round number 1, this crew, Joe Amato and company, could load up right now and they would be the world champions. He will carry the number 1 next year. But he's not about to load up because he'd like to win his first U.S. Nationals title, and there's plenty of good cars left. Big Daddy Don Garlits among them. He has run over 261 miles an hour in qualifying. Connie Coletta is still in there. Frank Bradley. And, of course, Larry Minor. Now, with Gary Beck's help, he could also go all the way. The record-setting run by Mark Oswald, well, that was a costly one. They are right now on the other side of the pits, changing engines, getting ready for round number 2. And, of course, they are head-to-head with Billy Meyer for that World Championship, as well as the U.S. Nationals title. In Pro Stock, the big 3 all survived in round number 1. Bob Glidden, Lee Shepard, and Warren Johnson with the Oldsmobile. Johnson's driving has improved so much in the last few months that he is a big threat. Lee Shepard, of course, always capable of getting into the winner's circle. But the Indiana crowd here, and even myself, we like Bob Glidden in the Ford Thunderbird. He won it last year. He may do it again.
Thank you, Steve. The 1984 U.S. Nationals are being brought to you by Motorcraft. Quality parts for all makes of cars and trucks. Motorcraft exceeds the need. And by Fabergé. Make every day your Brute Day with Brute by Fabergé. And by Goodyear. Goodyear tires and Goodyear service for more good years in your car. The 30th annual U.S. Nationals Top Fuel competition coming up next.